Hi everyone, Drake here with Google Marketing. Welcome to today's webinar. A little bit about myself. As you see from my resume, I'm a previous United States Air Force officer. My job title was Security Forces. On top of that, I was the Executive Aircraft Security OIC at one point, along with doing numerous other things while in the United States military. Before I was an officer, I was also in the IT field as an enlisted member in the early 2000s. So I have a knowledge of web pages, technology, and how those shape the future. So I have a very in-depth knowledge of how technology is integrated and how you can benefit from using that technology to get the results that you'd like. So today's seminar is Leadership in Technology Today and Beyond, Navigating the Future of Business with Technology. So I wanted to start off with a small little story in regards to how not planning directly for the future can take a multi-billion-dollar company and make them face bankruptcy in a short amount of time. We all have heard the story of Blockbuster and Netflix. Blockbuster was a world-dominant movie chain for home rental videos in the late 80s, early 90s, and subsequently in the early 2000s. However, there's a story that the Netflix executives met with the CEO of Blockbuster to discuss acquiring Netflix's business model and proposal for the tune of $50 some odd million back in the early 2000s. However, it is stated that in this meeting, the CEO, we can't verify this, pretty much laughed at the idea of why would Blockbuster want to buy this small unknown company based off of having no experience while we are a $6 billion empire. We control the entire market, and not seeing down the road how important Netflix's business model was. In a short time, we saw Netflix go to unknown to a household name. And now it is the leader in online streaming services. So many companies have followed their suit. Blockbuster failed to follow their suit, and it was a little too late for them to get into the game, because to lay the groundwork for an online platform streaming service takes time and it takes money. So failing to do so made Blockbuster obsolete in a lot of people's opinions, and they just weren't able to overcome this short sight and end up filing for bankruptcy in 2012. And this is why it's very important to have leadership that understands technology and where the world is heading and what people want. So it's very important that you find someone in the specific field that you're in that understands how technology is progressing and how it's going to move throughout time. Someone that understands the integral parts of how blockchain is going to revolutionize the healthcare industry and the shipping industry, things of that nature, if you have to account for multiple items being shipped, how metaverse is going to transform social media and other online communities. Being reluctant to change is not going to help. And as you see in the case of Blockbuster and Netflix, being reluctant to change and not believing that the world is going to change, because for the last 10 to 15 years, you've had the dominant force in the market and are looked at as the leader. So because you are the status quo, a lot of times people don't feel that they need to invest in the future in that regards. So some unknown company or entity can come up surprisingly and overtake you overnight, so to speak, if you do not plan well for the future and have the leadership that understands that paradigm shifts are always happening throughout history. So the importance of staying current, as I was saying, is trying to understand the curves. So the consequences of falling behind, as I'll use another example, is Nokia. Nokia used to be the dominant company in telecommunications. Everyone that you knew had a Nokia telephone, almost everyone. But the thing is, the company failed to keep up with rapid evolution of smartphones and change their model and to transition to touchscreen devices. So this is when competitors like Apple and Samsung eventually ended up being acquired by Microsoft in 2014. And no, unless you had a Nokia phone, Today's generation don't even understand what Nokia is because they weren't able to stay ahead of the curve and plan for the future. Because they were leading and they had the dominant market, they didn't understand that what people wanted, they believed what they gave them is what they wanted. But you always have to understand, what do your clients want? What is going to make their lives easier? What's going to be more customer service friendly? What is going to streamline the process and take out middlemen, things of that nature. Now, I touched on some of the emerging technologies, but today we're only going to really be discussing the top 8 emerging technologies and how your company should be looking at them specifically. So, employing emerging technologies, before you employ them, you have to understand how they're going to help your business. Is AI going to automatically help a restaurant become more efficient in their processes? Not necessarily. Now, is a company that a restaurant going to hire, such as in marketing or a data-driven in regards to food quality, or where are people eating at more and what is the price range that people are willing to spend, that information is going to be useful to a restaurant. So you're going to want a company that is using AI to collect that information data for you, so it can help guide you in where you need to be spending your resources, whether it needs to be lighting, whether it needs to be more seating, whether it needs to be a mix of outdoor, indoor seating, whether it's activities for kids, whether it's being family friendly, the price, the correct price point within the specific area. So all this information that AI collects from various databases around the world and regions is going to help drive that information. But you have to understand, do I need that technology, or do I need a company that does that, uses that technology specifically, and I just get the information for them and they help me navigate the world in which we see it? The biggest thing that we talk about in Netflix is artificial intelligence and machine learning. Netflix uses AI and machine learning with an algorithm to understand what a client watches. This is because Netflix is always gathering information based off of what you're watching, for how long you're watching it, when you're watching it, and all that. So it's a good thing, but it's also it can be a bad thing depending on if you like your privacy or not. We all know Amazon. Amazon is one of the largest companies, if not the largest company on the planet, with a market share of over $1 trillion. They are always investing in technology, specifically robots and automation. Right now in the States, they are actually doing testing with drone deliveries. That's right. If you haven't heard, Amazon is actually doing test deliveries with drones in the United States at this current moment. A lot of their warehouses are autonomously run by robotics. So you have very few workers, as you did in the past working Amazon, because everything is being automated. They have the most efficient self-automated systems in the world, because all they do is gather technology or information to help streamline and make the process faster, where they can shave off 10 seconds, 1 minute, an hour, things of that nature. Amazon is always data-driven, trying to collect as much information as they can specifically. And you need to be looking at doing the same for your business, whether you're a hardware store, whether you're a fitness industry. Where can you shave off time? Where can you automate? Where can you cut back on certain expenses and help allow robotics and or automation help guide your company? Case in point, in the fitness industry, if you have a gym, instead of having a clerk manage white people in with their badge and things of that nature, a lot of companies such as Fit Active here in Italy, and you have various others in the States that are using, actually the US military went to this a few years ago, where they had a swipe-in process to get into the gym after hours. So during the normal work day, they had individuals working anywhere from 8 to 5 to 6 in the evening, and then after that time, the gym would close. However, if you were able to have your ID card and processed into the system, they had a keypad where you could just take your ID card, swipe, and it would allow you to have access to the gym. So then you wouldn't have to have individuals working at night during the late shift. So that is cost savings on top of that. Plus, you're now offering a wider range of hours to your customers, which in turn makes them happier, because at the end of the day, we're always looking to maximize customer satisfaction so they come back repeatedly. So going on to the next technology that's emerging is we're going to talk about EVs, electronic vehicles, autonomous driving. Now, here in Italy, I don't necessarily see this really happening, at least probably most likely for the next 30 to 40 years, just because it's a different environment than what we have in the United States. However, Tesla is driving that technology. You have autonomous vehicles, things of that nature. You have self-driving vehicles. You've seen all the stories on the news where self-driving vehicle got messed up because there was a construction zone and it wasn't aware of the update. So instead of being able to bypass the construction zone and flow into traffic immediately, it then caused a traffic jam. However, this is a learning experience, and we're at the infancy of electronic vehicles and autonomous driving. The good thing about Tesla is not just a car company. It is a information system gathering technology. Every single time you see a Tesla driving down the road, it is mapping that road. It is mapping that interaction in the vehicle. It is collecting all that information back and sending it to Tesla so it can better create maps. It can better understand driving habits, how to stop, how to navigate, things of that nature. So you can't necessarily look at Tesla as just strictly as an automotive vehicle company as in the past, because it's not. It's collecting data all the time to help better its service for its clients and make its products superior in the market. So whether you're in the taxi business, whether you're in the transportation business, autonomous driving is coming. So it's better to understand how that technology is going to benefit you and how you're going to be able to use it yourself. The next technology that I want to talk about, and that is really going to help revolutionize things, is the blockchain. I'm not sure if you guys know what Walmart is, but Walmart is one of the largest supermarkets in the United States. It's one of the most wealthiest families in the world. And Walmart has implemented blockchain technology in its supply chain and to enhance traceability and food safety. It allows the company to track the origin of products, enabling faster and accurate recalls on safety events such as contaminated food. So this technology is very, very revolutionary, and it's always changing. But one of the benefits of blockchain is that it's very secure. It's very difficult to hack into a blockchain. Not impossible, but very difficult. And so when we're talking about security, that is something that we as leadership also must always be aware of and talk about, is how are we going to safeguard information? How are we going to ensure that our clients' information, our business information, is properly protected and secured in the proper way? But it's also going to streamline your data and your warehouse storage, because it's going to track all those items more closely than an individual would. So it's going to behoove you to understand whether blockchain is going to be a service to your company specifically. The other technology that I want to talk about that is very beneficial is reusable items. How can we reuse things that we already have available to us? Specifically, I want to bring up the case of SpaceX and its reusable rockets. SpaceX has been able to bring up a cost savings of almost 700 to 900% based off of what NASA was sending one individual into space for. They were able to bring the cost down from millions of dollars of sending one individual into space to only a couple of thousand. That is massive amount of savings in regards to being able to now go into space at a cheaper price than what it was before. So with these new expeditions to the moon, to Mars, and just in space in general, it's going to be an exciting time to be alive, specifically, because what used to be out of reach for almost everyone on the planet is now in reach for a lot of people, not everyone as of yet. However, as we progress with this technology, it's going to be cut further and further, and further and further reduced in price. So one day, almost every single person on the planet might be able to visit space. They're already working on a space hotel. It's pretty amazing. And by 2040, 2051, I saw NASA is also trying to put colonies of actual civilians on the moon. So there are a lot of technologies that are going to be prevalent that we don't fully understand yet. So the chances of things happening relatively fast in a short amount of time, 20, 30 years, we have to understand, and we have to have the leadership to foresee those. Case in point, if they are going to put houses on the moon, What's to say that they're not going to put a hotel or can put a hotel? You just need to have the right vision, and you just have to understand what that's going to cost and what that's going to entail. And the groundwork begins today. It doesn't begin when they start the project. It begins before the project is even that ready. One of the most famous companies in the world, and one of the largest powerful companies, is McDonald's. McDonald's is always revolutionizing how they do business. For specifically how they have self-service kiosks and mobile ordering now. These things have gone over very, very well with the public because they don't necessarily have to wait in line like they used to. Because now with self-service kiosks, you can go up without having to talk to any individual. You automatically see what's on the menu. You can customize your sandwich. You can customize your meal. You can pick and choose, and then you can pay there. You don't have to talk to anyone at all. Now, this is beneficial on many fronts, not just from customers' perspective, but also from the business aspect. From the business aspect, that's less cash that you have on hand because now you're accepting credit cards and other wireless payment, where you're now not subject to possibly being robbed by an individual late at night. It's also a safety concern that helps it alleviates a safety concern for your employees that work late at night that might be worried about being robbed or being taken advantage of because there's no one there. So these self-service kiosks are twofold. They improve customer service, but they also provide a safety aspect for your workers, and they actually help reduce the money that you have on hand so you don't have to continually go into the bank and continuously counting money specifically. And so that eliminates time taken out of employees' days, and everything is done centrally and goes to one account. So having mobile ordering, self-service kiosks could possibly help serve your business as well in that regard. So when we talk about computing, revolutionary technology is coming in computing, quantum computing. I can't tell you how big this is, how phenomenal this technology is going to be. It is going to revolutionize how we look at computers and the ability computers have. Instead of having the standard zeros and ones that computers compute information off of, quantum physics allows computers to do simultaneous calculations instead of going in some numerical order while doing them in reverse. And with the next company, Airbnb. Airbnb is spending tons of money in big data analytics. The implementation of Airbnb employs big data analytics to gain insight into user behavior and market trends. By analyzing data on bookings, reviews, and user demographics, the platform can improve search results, pricing strategies, and customer experiences. So data-driven decisions have played a pivotal role in Airbnb's rapid growth. So a lot of companies have understood a lot of these technologies, but aren't employing them currently in their business model. And this is what separates people being successful from other companies not being successful. Now, when we talk about technology selection and implementation, leadership's decisions influence technology decisions all the time and selection. It's very, very imperative that we understand how technology is going to further our business and business goals. The Air Force and the Department of Defense in the United States specifically have a program for innovation. They look at people doing the everyday, day-to-day jobs and trying to improve on those processes. And depending on whether that process can save time, equipment, things of that nature, they can submit that information to an organization. And that organization is going to look over the information and determine a cost savings. And the winner can receive up to $10,000 for their innovative cause if it benefits the Air Force and helps them save anywhere from thousands to millions of dollars a year. So leadership is very paramount in the United States Air Force and military to help find ways to better streamline processes and to help make things more efficient and effective. Always for less money, because that's the end goal, to keep more of the money that we have so we can spend it on things that we need or want. But I want to emphasize the critical role strong leadership plays into the implementation process. So when we talk about picking specific technologies, we really have to have someone that understands where technology is headed. A lot of people have seen these and think that they're industries that aren't going to go anywhere. However, I beg to differ. It was the same thing that we heard with the web in the late 90s, the dot-com era. It busted, and everybody's like, oh, I lost millions, it's done, it's over. No one's going to use the World Wide Web. However, it rebounded. Almost every single entity on the planet is using the World Wide Web in some fashion. It has a website. And same thing with social media. With social media, a lot of people didn't understand the reach and the potential that it had 10, 15 years ago. But now, if you're not on Facebook Marketplace, if you're not using Facebook marketing, you're behind the power curve. So don't become one of those people that has a short mind or a short vision where you don't believe technology is going to go anywhere to help further your business or your goals, because it's not true. You just have to understand where technology is headed and try to understand how you can use that to your advantage. And that's why it's very important to have strong leadership yourself or someone that you put in place to foresee those trends. And that's why you need to discuss collectively and frequently how to best understand the market trends and where technology is going to push. So a meeting once a year, twice a year isn't going to do it. You need to really try to meet at least once a month, at the bare minimum, in my opinion, to discuss evolving technologies and where they're at in development and when they're going to be deployed for the masses or for specific groups or specific demographics and or markets. So that brings into our next topic, managing technology and resources. It's not just enough to talk about and buying the equipment, as I said earlier in the presentation. Managing technology, the importance of having leadership, managing these technologies and the teams that run these is very important. Just because you buy a expensive piece of equipment or data-driven information and you give it to your team, it doesn't mean that you're going to automatically reap the results that you want. You specifically have to give direction to your team in regards to how you want that information used and or the technology implemented into the business. Without direction, without communication, it's just might as well be a paperweight, as we say in the United States. If it doesn't work or if it's not going to be used, you bought an over expensive paperweight or oversized paperweight. If you buy a piece of technology and you don't use it, it just sits in the corner collecting dust. Or your leadership team doesn't know how to effectively employ it with its members or its employees. So that's where leaders can foster a culture of innovation and adaptability within the organization by making it more advantageous to, hey, we're going to get this new technology. This is going to change how we do business. It's going to make your guys' lives easier. It's going to help us with data collection so we can hopefully give you guys bigger raises, more time off, things of that nature, things that really matter to people, time with their family, more rest, more money. All that really equates into employee satisfaction and happiness. And that, at the end of the goal, as leaders and managers and business owners, but to make our teams and our employees happy, we also have to make sure that we employ technology properly to give them the best environment possible so we keep employees happy instead of having a revolving door, as we say, where every month, every 6 days, every quarter, we have people coming in and out of our organization because we're not doing enough to keep them there or satisfied. So usually in the United States, we use the 5 W's. I know you don't have that here because every word that we have that starts with the W is different for you. The 5 W's is who, what, when, where, and why. And if you use this when talking about buying technology, who is it going to benefit? Why is it going to benefit them? How is it going to benefit them? When is it going to benefit them? And where is it going to benefit them? If you're able to explain all these to your employees when buying or implementing a new piece of technology, they're more apt to get on board and understand and not reluctant to use it and say, oh, I don't need that. I've been doing this job for 20, 15, 30 years. I don't need another piece of equipment. So having leaders that inspire and lead by embracing new technologies and making sure that it's not taboo or it's something that we're always looking into can really help a business thrive. Because, as you know, if you're the manager or you're the business owner, there's only you and maybe one other person that you trust. But there's so much out there in the world that you cannot know everything. You can't view everything. So with that being said, it can help benefit you in the long run, having new younger clients or employees that are going to out there like, hey, sir, did you know that this technology is out here and this can cut our database collection by this amount, or we can employ this by this, or we can take this technology and we can save this amount of time doing a certain next projects. So having leadership that understands that and fostering that type of environment will only help you in the long run. Now, data management and analytics, I can't stress this enough. Today's world is data driven, as you all know. Data driven is what really makes a majority of decisions in business. So having a leader and or manager in a position to stress data management analytics and how we base decisions off of that is very imperative. I'll bring up a personal story. One of the reasons why I joined the Air Force originally was because of the story of a pararescue individual named Jason Cunningham. He ended up perishing in a firefight on top of a hill in Afghanistan after being wounded mortally while setting up a casualty collection point. When I was stationed in Japan, I worked out with some of the guys that were actually there and actually knew Jason Cunningham during that time. Fast forward a few years, I get stationed to Andrews Air Force Base, and I ended up talking to the vice commander of the base and told him, I found out that he flew helicopters and that he was actually there that day in the command center when everything was going on with that attack specifically. And he made me realize that being in a leadership position is very hard and very lonely and isolated position sometimes. Specifically, in this specific story, is that they had already lost, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 helicopters in this engagement with the Taliban on top of the mountain in Afghanistan. And so they were waiting on top of the mountain for help. However, being in the AOR, area of responsibility, in a war situation, you have multiple bases, you have multiple missions going on simultaneously, all vying for the same resources and possibly needing those resources as well. So when he broke it down to me, saying, Drake, this is what happened. I was there in the command center. We wanted to get them as fast as we possibly could. However, we could not risk having another 1 or 2 helicopters shot down because those assets are not readily available to be replaced. So sometimes decisions are based off of data management and analytics. What is going to be the best cost scenario? So they decided to wait till dusk when the sun was down, where the helicopters wouldn't be at risk of being shot down due to mortars and RPGs. So this is very important to understand for leaders, is that decisions must be data driven. We can't just can't operate off of feelings anymore, because feelings can get you in a pretty bad predicament very fast. So with the age of technology, speeding up the data collection and information, it allows you to make better and more sound choices if you allow it, if you're looking at the data correctly, and it allows you to make decisions more quickly than you were in the past. So you really want to encourage your leaders to champion for data management and analytic initiatives within your organization, because it's going to save you time, headache, and the guesswork if you allow it to. So ensure that the person that you're employing to lead your organization or yourself understands data management and analytics and how to employ that in its best capacity if possible. Now, when we talk about cybersecurity and risk management, we're going to just barely touch on this just because it's a very large issue. But with cybersecurity and risk management with technology, we always have to be concerned with data breaches and or possible hacking. Cybersecurity is, with everything moving digital and being automated, we have to worry of the risk of nefarious players wanting to either commandeer our network or machines for ransom. You would be surprised the amount of companies out there that actually get blackmailed, that don't make the news, or they have hackers commandeer their website, their business information, their network, And these companies are paying these hackers because they would rather pay the hackers than be on the news, specifically having that bad publicity affect them. So this stuff is really happening out there. And I just want to make you aware of it. And when we focus on going digital, investing in technology that is going to safeguard your network, your technology, your infrastructure, things of that nature, you don't really want to spend the bare minimum, because you can end up in a very precarious environment or situation, rather, where you don't want to find yourself with your back against the wall, so to speak. So I just wanted to throw that caveat out there for when you choose a leader or when you discuss with your management team, that you have to have an individual on your leadership team that is always cognizant of the security risk and the risk management of employing new technologies and keeping those safe for you and the customer and the company. So as I touched on earlier, I wanted to let you know that these are two technologies that I want you to be lookout for: virtual reality and the metaverse. Some of them believe that they're hand in hand, a lot of them are, but not necessarily exclusively hand in hand. Virtual reality is definitely going to be another immense technology that I can't even begin to fathom of how big it's going to be. It's going to touch everybody on the planet one day, just like social media and the internet has. It's going to make us a more collective unit as humanity, because you're now able to do things from not just the comfort of your own home, but you can also have that experience of camaraderie while being in another place. Now, the metaverse is another grand technology, and if you don't understand any of these, I suggest you take a look at the movie Real Player One. It's actually really, it came out about 5-6 years ago, but it really underscores how important these technologies that are in development today are going to play a role in the coming future. And if you think it's just sci-fi, look at other sci-fi movies in the past that have come true, that come to fruition. So it's not just science fiction anymore, it's science truth. It's just about where we currently are with the specific technology at this point in time. So with the metaverse, it's going to touch everybody. So you have major industries, the NFL, you have National Football League in the United States, you have the NBA, National Basketball Association in the United States, you have FIFA, you have Formula One looking into all of these. You have Facebook, who has Meta, that is looking into the metaverse and how to get their specific niche of the population immersed into these worlds. So imagine being Formula One, being able to put on a set of VR goggles, and it's like you're actually with the driver in the Formula One car, watching the race happen. Imagine being courtside at home with your friends, watching a basketball game or a football game from the comfort of your own home. This technology has limited or limitless possibilities. So if you don't understand these or didn't know these technologies were coming, I guarantee you within the next 5 to 10 years, they are projected to be a $500 billion to $1 trillion industry within the next 10 years. So if you want to get in on the action now, my suggestion is to start understanding these technologies and how to employ them in your business model. You don't have to deploy them tomorrow, but you have to begin laying the groundwork for a plan to integrate these technologies and see where they can take your business. Because if you're one of the first in this space, you're going to have a leg up on others. Just like social media. If you had a social media account and you started 5 to 10 years ago, you already have a leg up on individuals trying to get into the specific space now. Not saying that's going to be impossible for you to claim your space if you wait until the technology is there. But it's going to be much more difficult because you're going to have a lot more competition. And now on to question and answer section. So please tell me what questions that you have that I didn't answer or you would like me to elaborate a little bit more on. I'm waiting for your questions.